Hey everyone, Kyle from Andrew Hilton here. Here to tell you about our upcoming wine tasting for Friday, May the 14th at 6 o'clock. Fresh off the heels for our pirate-themed rum tasting, we're going to do a bit of a Highlander rosé tasting. So these are four of our absolute best-selling, best-tasting rosés, but there can be only one. Now the impetus for tonight is the Broc Cellars Love Rosé. Now I've always kind of found the Love Rosé a bit of an odd duck in the Broc Cellars Love line. The red I adore, the white I think is an absolutely under-celebrated classic, but the rosé has always been, it's there, it's part of the line, it does okay, but it's not the red. In a certain way, it's not the white. The 2020 vintage, though, absolutely spectacular. It's possibly the best rosé in the store, and that's the question we're going to answer. So we're going to taste the Broc Cellars Love Rosé against three of my other favorite rosés in the entire store. Now, from Domaine Rolet, we actually have the rare example of an inexpensive Jura wine. Jura wines tend to be kind of 35 to crazy amounts of money. This is just a little kind of $23 rosé, and I think it rules. It maybe gets overlooked a little bit just because it's not the new sexiness. It's just kind of always there. It's available 12 months of the year. It doesn't sell out, but it belongs in this lineup. Next up, we couldn't do a rosé tasting without Meinklang's Prosa. Obviously, if you've been following our tastings for a while, we've tasted this a couple times before. It was in our top 10 wines of 2020. We love this. You couldn't do a Highlander rosé tasting without the highest ranking rosé of the previous year for our rankings. And then finally, my personal favorite rosé. It's a light. It's German. It's not a surprise that it's my favorite, but this is their Pinot Noir rosé, done bone dry. I mean, it's the one I wanted on the table. It's the one I had to have on the table. So we're going to pick our favorite spring rosé because it's getting into rosé season now. This is going to be a fun exploration of the best rosés we're selling. And who knows? Maybe the underdog Jura one will win. We don't know. And all of that coming up Friday, May 14th at 6 o'clock.
Media Boutique.
Hey everyone, Kyle from Andrew Hilton here, and welcome to our Highlander rosé tasting. You might notice things are a little bit different tonight. I don't have the bottles in front of me. I actually don't know what's even in my glass, and you'll also notice there's no phone in front of me because I can't see the comments. Unlike all of you who know exactly what the wines are in front of you, I don't know. I'm doing this completely blind. Now, why am I doing that? I'm doing that because these are four of my favorite rosés in the entire store, but I want to actually pick my favorite rosé tonight without knowing which one, because I was thinking about this about a week ago when we kind of were starting to put this together. It's like, how am I going to not pick the lights? How am I not going to pick my favorite winery in the store? How am I not going to pick their rosé as my number one? Well, there's a very easy answer to that. I'm not going to know which one it is. So Aaron is going to tell you what each wine is in the comments. My dad is actually going to be off camera helping us out here tonight and actually giving us the, he's going to be bringing my glasses of wine and giving Aaron the list of what the wines are. That's what we're actually going to be doing tonight. So I will never know what each wine is. And then you're going to say, okay, well, how are you going to talk about all four wines? Well, I'm going to go by a certain order, which I don't know what the wines are at all, but I'm going to go by an order that is predetermined by me just because this is kind of I think the best way to tell the story. I'm going to do the four wines in any order. So if it's not necessarily the wine in front of you, go ahead and complain in the comments. I can't see them anyway. So that is what we're doing. Aaron's going to be letting you know what wine number one is here just in a second in the comments. So I am going to jump into talking about wine number one. Wine number one is the wine in the funny curvy shaped bottle by Domaine Rolet. It is a Poised rosé from the region of Jura. Now that may or may not be what's in your glasses. In fact, it's a 1 in 4 chance that's actually what's in your glasses. But this particular region used to be really, really important in France. At the start of the 19th century, there were about 20,000 hectares in the Jura that were planted and producing wine. These days there's about 1,900 hectares, and that's actually up from a little under 1,000 about 15 years ago. The Jura very nearly died, and it was really organic, natural, wine geeky culture that kind of brought the Jura back. The grape variety on this, and I know you have promo videos. I'm not even talking about the first wine yet. No, I'm not yet. Not yet. So I haven't tasted it. I'm very specifically talking about one of the 4 wines we're tasting tonight, not necessarily this one. When I start about talking about this, I'll give you the nod, which will be not very helpful because you're not looking at me.
Yeah, sorry.
But I will give you the nod, and I'll just tell you, and we'll go for that. So, anyway. This is made from a grape variety called Poulsard. Poulsard is the most planted grape in the Jura in terms of red grape varieties. It's about 1/6 of 300 hectares of the total plantings. It is completely overshadowed by the much more famous Trousseau. Just like Groyot from the Loire Valley or Grollo, it is actually better suited to be a rosé. Even after 2 weeks of macerating on its grape skins, the skins for Poulsard are so thin and so pale they're almost translucent. You can think of them almost like a Pinot Gris sort of skin. And they also give these very long, oblong, kind of thumb-shaped grapes, which are very interesting. As a result, even after 2 weeks, you get something maybe the color of a Pinot Noir. As a result, it's better suited to making rosé. And that's why one of the 4 wines we're having tonight will be the Rolet Poulsard Rosé. So let's all taste, now that Aaron's hopefully told you in the comments what wine number 1 is, and I don't know. Let's try wine number 1.
All right, I'm going to run my thingy.
Run your thingy while I taste this, yeah, because I do want a second to gather my thoughts.
All right.
There's trouble. Uh-oh. What did I do this time? Hey, bud. Yeah, I'm good. Very good. Let's do next turkey.
You're ready.
I'm ready?
Yep.
All right. Good.
Do you better, sorry.
Yep. Just a random thumbs up. I'm not sure if that's go or I really like the job I did on that. I also really need to see those because, again, I can't see the videos yet. We'll get there. But yeah, so I had a chance to taste wine number 1 while you all watched Aaron's amazing. Are they all from the movie or are they from the TV series?
Movie, yeah.
The TV series was so much with Adrian Paul as the Highlander was actually better, I think.
Right.
I don't know. I like the TV series better than the movie. And yes, I had to look up it was Adrian Paul. I definitely didn't know that off the top of my head. Okay, so how am I approaching this? I have 4 options in front of me. They're actually down there because my dad very rightfully pointed out that it would be cheating if they were on the table because I'd be able to pick them by color, so I can't actually see them. I'm hoping, and again, there's some variation on this. This could be the Meinklang Rosé, but I'm guessing that the Meinklang, because it's usually done lightly sparkling, will have a bit of pétillance to it. I don't think this is the Meinklang, so let's tick that off the list for now. I imagine everyone at home now, this is totally the Meinklang, they're rolling their eyes. I get something that's slightly tart, bitter, maybe even bitter cherry or underripe cherry. So I'm leaning towards Pinot Noir, perhaps, because I know that the Leitz and the Meinklang Prosa are both Pinot Noir, although I did just say it was not the Meinklang. It's very bright, it's very fresh, it's got tons of fruit. Of the 4 wines, I will say the one that I have had by far the most is the Leitz, the Eins, Zwei, Dry Rosé. There's something in the back of my mind that's just saying this is the Leitz, but I'm not going to go any further than that without tasting the other 3. So let's bring on wine number 2. Aaron will let you all know what wine number 2 is in the comments very shortly here. And let's talk about a second wine in very broad terms because I don't know what you all have in front of you. In fact, let's talk about the Leitz. Aaron, if you want to call up, when you're finished with comments, do you want to call up the map of Germany for me, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. That is Austria. That is Germany. Yay! And
Okay, it's all yours.
it's all mine. Just click in.
There you go.
Maybe.
Neighbor.
Possibly. Can you zoom in for me just a tad?
Yeah, just roll your wheel.
Yeah, there we go. Nice. Okay, so here is Germany. So this is actually a fun fact that I didn't realize. I had a customer come in about a month ago, and they were specifically looking for Mosel wines. And Mosel, of course, also has the subregions of the Saar and the Ruhr. they were actually looking for Mosel wines. It was like, oh, you know, the largest, most famous wine region in Germany. It's the one that everybody talks about. It's the one everybody knows. I'm such a giant Rheingau nerd and just completely hopeless with it that we actually carry far, far more Rheingau wines. I think almost at least half of our German section these days is Rheingau. It's, you know, there's Naya and there's Pfalz and there's the giant Rheinhessen. There's weird Franken up here. We don't really talk about Baden-Württemberg because we don't really see anything from it. But yeah, I mean, there's so many other really famous regions, but we are overwhelmingly dominated by Rheingau just because it's a personal favorite of mine. I want to talk a little bit about why. Do you want to switch over to the Rheingau slide for me there, Aaron? That's the one. So this is the Rheingau. So this is the Rhine River down here at the base. And basically it's acting like a big mirror. So this is a giant stone amphitheater that's basically pure south facing. So the sun comes down out of the south, it hits the Rhine River and it bounces back up. And you notice how steep this is, how they're all in these incredibly steep little walled enclosures. This is so that none of the grapes actually shade each other from the sun. So each vine is actually getting direct sunlight, and not only from the sun, it's getting it both from above and it's getting it from below as that light comes off the Rhine River, and it creates this tropical, intense, like Germany is a very cold climate country, but it's, despite being not by any means the furthest south region in Germany, it's the hottest part of Germany, and it's just this one perfect hillside. This is why I love Rheingau so much. And while, you know, Riesling does ripen really well in Germany, if we're trying to grow red grapes to make a rosé, well, with a couple of exceptions, most red grapes do take longer. They require that longer ripening season. They require more heat to actually fully mature than do white grapes. So we need these perfect growing conditions. When I was talking about that German map before, I did kind of gloss over Baden and Württemberg in southern Germany. Because they are further south, they do get some long hot days. A lot of red is grown down there. But the Rheingau does make some really interesting Pinot Noir, as well as a little bit of Saint Laurent, Zweigelt, probably some Blaufränkisch in there as well. But broadly, this is one of those really special sites in Germany. And that's Austria. So let's...
Which one?
Sorry, you quickly cut over to Austria for a second there. But yes, the region that I'm talking about, if I may... Oh,
Yep.
uh-oh. I've ruined everything.
Yeah, you blew it.
Yeah, I completely cocked it up. I was trying to point.
Yeah.
Can I click in and point?
Just a sec here.
Yeah.
Let go.
Yep.
Let go.
I'm letting go.
Okay, go for it.
Fine. Bloody Elsa from Frozen with your
You're
letting
on
go.
screen. Now you've done it. Don't touch anything.
I'm not
Holy jeez.
Well,
Okay.
it's a very Trozo sort of evening. There we go. So yes, this little tiny hillside, this one perfect south-facing tiny amphitheater right on the Rhine River, that is the Rheingau. The Rheinhessen's down here, which is very large. This is where things, some very good things. Sea bricks, red soil, Rieslings come from here, but so do a lot of your Liebfraumilchs and your black towers and that sort of rot. The Nye is kind of a really fascinating region. It's an up-and-coming region where they have a little bit of that Mosel quality. They have a little bit of that Rheinhessen, like easy accessibility and easier growing because it's a lot flatter. Nye is really interesting. I think that Nye could be kind of the most interesting, more innovative part of Germany as we kind of move forward. And Pfalz is just madness. Pfalz is just the northern tip of Alsace, and just like Alsace, it's been gone over by so many glaciers over the millennia that it's like, I'm on gravel, I'm on silt, I'm on pure bedrock. It completely varies. It's a complete patchwork of a soil, and it makes no sense. So Pfalz is really interesting that way. So that is, in theory, one of the 4 wines. Maybe what's in the glass? Probably not. So let's taste wine number 2 and make a random guess what I think it is.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna play the thing.
Yeah, play the thing. Wine number 3, whatever the heck wine number 2 is. I can't smell. And I'm back. All right, so wine number 2, a lot more serious than wine number 1. Whereas wine number 1 was kind of all like fresh, spritzy, fun. Like I got bright fruit and I got acidity and I got zest and I got lemons and I got apples. This is much more serious. It's much more subdued. I get soft, earthy things. I do get a little bit of something like cherries, but it's almost leaning harder into blueberries than it is into cherries. There's a real herbal note here. It's delicate. The wine itself is very fine, it's very integrated. Like this, I can just pick out everything immediately. It's very loud. This is much more toned down, very quiet. I'm actually going to give myself a moment just to let my palate adjust to this by asking Aaron, are there any questions or comments you want to read?
I haven't seen any questions yet. Jeremy does love Highlander. Thank you.
Well, that's good. Jeremy's a smart man.
And he also now wants to play D&D. Kevin says good map work, so there you go.
There we go.
I don't know if that means like we're blowing.
No, I think that's all on you. No, that's a compliment for you.
Other than that, a pretty classic autocorrect on my part, naming one of the wines.
Lovely.
So we'll just wait for not to tell you that one.
Okay.
And that's it. You're good.
All right, cool. You can ask questions because Aaron is going to read them. So just because I'm not seeing them on my phone in real time does not mean your questions aren't going to be answered. They can't be really specific, or if they are, Aaron may have to push them to the end. So if you have a very general question about wine number one, don't say, hey, wine number one, being from the United States. That gives away the game a little bit. So don't do that. But if you want to ask very general questions, please do. Okay, having had a minute for my palate to just calm down from wine one, I'm amazed how much just like, not jammy fruit, but like fresh, like basket berry sort of thing. Like I've just gone berry picking. It's like those tart mountain raspberries that have so much more acidity than like the ones you get in the store, at least when the ones in the store are actually good. It's fresh and it's bright, but it doesn't have the zing and the life of the first one. But I think that is much more an aperitif wine. I think this would be much more a food wine. This wine, when I taste it, I immediately like have a little light in my head go off and say, cheese. I want cheese with this wine. This would be perfect with like a semi-hard cheese. I think, very early stage, and I fully reserve the right to change my mind. I think that's the lights. I think that's the French, the Rolet, the one from Jura, the one I talked about first. Just initial, based purely on, I know the wines a little bit. I think that's what they are. Let's go on to wine number three, though. Wine number three, we're going to talk about Meinklang, according to my notes here. Wouldn't it be incredibly ironic that, like, I didn't.
Just doing it in the order?
I didn't actually tell my dad like what the actual order that I had in my notes was. I just told him like surprise me. Yeah. It'd be very ironic if like the tasting order was actually the order in here. That would be very funny.
Spoiler alert, you've blown it. So
good.
Yeah. There's a question if you want to get to that.
Yeah,
though.
let's hit a question.
Yeah, Jeremy asks, what are the best pairings for rosé and the best pairings and most obscure?
Ooh, the most obscure pairings, the one I wouldn't know. Salmon? Yeah, my dad says salmon. Salmon and rosé is a good call. What makes fish and red wine not work is a interaction between the tannin and a particular oil in the fish. Because rosé has less pigment, most rosé will also have less tannin. There's certainly examples. If you had a Nebbiolo rosé, it would probably still have a screaming amount of tannin, but that's an odd duck. But yeah, salmon works really well. I absolutely love rosé, especially like paler rosés with like turkey dinner, like Christmas dinner, just because it's such a heavy meal, and having something that's kind of bright and fresh and zippy and lively and fun, I kind of love that as being like a Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinner sort of wine. I really like rosé actually and green vegetables in a lot of cases. I would normally say that like most, green vegetables like broccoli or asparagus or whatever, you're just leaning into Sauvignon Blanc really hard. But I find a lot of inexpensive French rosés that kind of lean to that Provence side. They're so high in acidity and just so light and fresh, and they're, I'm not going to say flavorless, but they're very lean and clean wines. They do just as good a job as a Sauvignon Blanc in that role. Obscure pairings. What are things that I wouldn't normally think of? Well, that's a heck of a thing to ask, because I would, I'm on camera, live. I'm trying to think of things on my feet. Potato salad. Really? Mustard. Oh, yeah. Mustard. Yeah, anything mustard with rosé is absolutely incredible.
Got scallops.
Scallops is a good call. Yep.
Asian food, especially with like the acidity?
Asian food's really good. I actually like white with Asian food just because okay. A lot of Chinese food, especially here in southern Alberta, tends to be have a lot of sugar and a lot of fat. I like a really high acid white like a Riesling or Sauv Blanc just to cut through the sugar and fat. But he's not wrong. Riesling or rosé does do really well with Asian dishes. I also like rosé and sashimi of all things. I think that actually works surprisingly well. Just because I find a lot of white wines can get lost just because there's so much flavor in sashimi. Got anything else for us? No? Fair enough.
I don't drink a lot of rosé.
That's totally fair.
Okay, we're on 3?
Yep, we are on 3. Do you want to run the video for 3?
I'll run the video for 3.
All right.
Not bad, not bad.
Thank you, Aaron. Awesome. Now we are on to wine number 3, a much darker rosé, which I like. Darker rosé can mean any number of things. Whichever one of these is the Poulsard. Poulsard, as I said, has a really translucent, very pale skin. So even if you age like Poulsard on its skins for a couple of weeks, you only get like a vaguely Pinot Noirish looking wine. It's very pale. As a result, a long maceration on Poulsard or on Pinot Grigio or, as I said, like the theoretical Nebbiolo Rosé wouldn't necessarily get you a dark color. But generally speaking, if the color of the grapes is equal, the longer you age that rosé on its skin, and we're talking hours, not days, the darker it's going to be versus a lighter wine. So, lighter wine, either lighter colored grapes or less maceration time. A darker colored rosé, either, and again, there are other ways you can make it. You could be doing Saignée method or something, which I'm not going to get into because Saignée method is really annoying to explain. And we have explained it in a previous tasting. That's the other reason. And because I didn't prep for it tonight. But a darker rosé will either have darker colored skins, like you might be using Syrah or Blaufränkisch or something like that has a very, very dark pigment skin, or you might be just doing a longer maceration period. So, all that being said, let's taste wine number 3. Ooh. Oh, that's earthy. That's earthy and a little bit cheesy and a little bit funky. It's very different from the other two. The other two drank like very stereotypical rosés to a point. This drink's honestly more like a light red. I think if I was blindfolded and I had this at room temperature rather than very slightly chilled, I'd be surprised if I didn't actually pick that out as a red wine. I think that I actually probably would pick that as a red, not a rosé. That said, as a rosé, it's light, it's lifted, it's got beautiful red berry fruit. We get strawberry, we get cranberry. I'd actually say we get something a little bit in the dairy family, maybe like a brie or a camembert. We get maybe sour cream. We get something in there that's kind of giving it some creaminess and some richness. Which I would normally say, that suggests natural fermentation, but all of these use natural fermentation, basically, so that's really not a hint. Yeah, it's very pretty. Third in my lineup of wines I want to talk about, which isn't necessarily what's on our glasses, and I would guess that it's not because it's not sparkling, is the Meinklang Prosa. This is a pet nat from Austria. It is from the Burgenland. Aaron, would you be so kind as to call up our Austria map? Austria.
Let's put another shrimp on the bar.
Let's put another shrimp. That is not at all what Austria is, but all right, sure.
Okay, hold on.
I'm holding on.
Holding?
Yeah, I'm holding. I will only click when you tell me to click the thing.
Give her.
All right, let's click in. So here is Austria. This is the city of Vienna, which actually has its own little tiny wine region around it. Here is Niederösterreich, which is called Lower Austria, which is fascinating because it's literally the most northerly part of Austria. This is, of course, about topography, not geography. Upper Austria is much, much higher in terms of altitude than is lower. This is actually the mountains, which would be the Alps, and then down here we are on a bit of a floodplain down here. Down here, though, around the around this bloody lake, sorry, it's Lake Newside. I try to use the actual like Austria-Hungarian pronunciation, but I always get it wrong. This is the Burgenland. 3/4 of which there are 4 counties in the Burgenland. 3 out of the 4 are in Austria. There is 1 that is in Hungary. It's this bit right here that's oddly, kind of cut out of Austria. This is the southernmost region. This is also broadly where kind of the Iron Curtain came down. Was right through Burgenland. As a result, Meinklang actually was basically surrounded by like barbed wire fencing and guard posts during the Cold War, and they felt very isolated from the rest of the world because they were kind of surrounded and cut off. So Meinklang makes really, really fascinating wines. They make kind of big, pretty, Grüne Veltliners. They make absolutely fascinating heavy reds and lighter reds. Their Pinot Noir rules. But this is kind of the pet nat rosé, predominantly Zweigelt mostly, isn't it? Pinot Noir, pardon me. It's mostly Pinot Noir, Zweigelt, and Blaufränkisch. So very light, very fresh, very pretty. I always associate this one with strawberry jam, and since I haven't tasted strawberry jam yet, and because none of the wines we've had yet have been sparkling, this is going to be, at bare minimum, the one I probably get right. And if I don't, you all have my permission to make fun of me forever. This is probably not Meinklang Prosa because it is not sparkling. Where are we for time? Oh, good lord, we're on bloody wine 4 almost, and it is 25 past. Well, let's do shameless promotion corner here very briefly.
You should do them all. Then we'll unblindfold you.
Well, we're gonna talk about it at the end. Yes, so we're not just burning through them and then just saying good night, everyone. Have a good night. We're not doing that. Now, let's talk a little bit about what we have for upcoming events. This coming Wednesday, we have an Annex tasting, and this is the Refreshment Referendum Pack. They call it a People's History of Annex Brewing Company, and it's a really fun concept. So Annex turns 4 this month, and they did an online poll for their 4th anniversary. They left it open to any 4 beers that Annex has brewed over their entire history, and they just said, vote for these. Vote for your 4 favorite beers we've ever did. It doesn't matter if it was on day 1 or if it was the last seasonal we just discontinued. Vote for your 4 favorites. And they let the people vote, and they made a mixed 4-pack called the Refreshment Referendum. There was those 4 beers in 1 box. And I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. When somebody comes up with such a cool idea and I do a 4-beer tasting on Wednesday nights, I'm just taking that and stealing it. So Rupert Manguel from Annex Brewing is going to be joining us, and we're going to be doing the Refreshment Referendum, which includes the Mackinac Peaches Peach Sour, the Rorschach Chocolate Milk Stout, the King's English, which is a Earl Grey tea pale ale. Not looking at it at the minute. I can't see that from the back of the can. But and finally, the one I have to look up, Terrestrial Magnetism Conically Hopped Wild New England IPA. If you say so, Annex. I'm really looking forward to that one. That sounds fun, if only because it uses so many words. These are selling for $21 plus tax on the shelf, but as always, we are doing them for $20 all in for our beer tasting series. On Friday night, I'm sure the eagle-eyed among you have spotted all the bottles of gin and the little tiny cans of, like, super adorable tonic that we have for next Friday. We are doing our long-promised, long-awaited gin tasting. We'll be joined by Adam Sagan of Last Best Brewing and Distilling in Calgary because we are doing 2 of his gins. So we are going to be doing a little bit of a gin event. It's basically Western Canada with a giant asterisk that we're actually doing something from Montana as well, but let's be fair, Big Fork is closer to Lethbridge than is Victoria. So we are going to be doing the Whistling Andy Cucumber Gin. Cucumber Gin, I know when I say cucumber gin, you all immediately think Hendrick's, but you can do cucumber gin anywhere. So this one's from Montana. This is one of my friend Jonathan's products. I really, really like it, so we're going to do that. From Vancouver Island, we're going to do Sheringham Seaside Gin, made entirely with Vancouver Island botanicals. This was something we kind of brought in because I really liked it, and then we haven't really seen any promotions. There's been no ads, there's been no nothing, but it's just become probably our 2nd or 3rd best-selling gin in the store. It does really, really well. And then from Calgary, of course, Last Best, and where our guest is coming from, they make 3 gins. They make Afterglow, which we're not tasting, which is very mild, very subtle, very delicate. This is kind of your martini gin. and then they make two others. They make Fortunella, which is just loud as hell with mandarin and navel oranges. They just straight up call it their gin and juice gin. I really like it because it's just so ludicrously orangey. It's by far the slowest selling of them, but it shouldn't be, and I really want to like show it to everybody because I think it's really fun. And then Savage Love, this is their cocktail gin. The problem with gins is if you use something like the Afterglow, if you use something like Bombay Sapphire, and you use like a really good vermouth or a lot of bitters, they'll kill it. They run rampant over a softer gin. Not a gin that has this damn much juniper in it and is also 47% alcohol. Savage Love is designed to stand up to whatever you want to throw it against. This will do probably the best with the tonic, I'm guessing. Haven't done them together. But yeah, that's our gin lineup. So 2 little cans of tonic, 4 fun gins, special guest from the distillery itself for 2 of them, $25 to the tasting kit, and we are doing that 1 week from tonight on May the 21st. Oh, we got through that very quickly. Good. Let's move on to wine number 4. I can make my completely incorrect assumptions about it, and then we can move on. Okay, well, all right, fine. This one has a head. I've said all night that the Meinklang was going to be sparkling. I feel like I've got at least 1 out of 4. This one's a gimme. And it's a really nice gimme. Like I said, I really like Meinklang Prosa. I think it's one of our top 4 wines. I think we last tasted it on the channel, actually when we did our top 10 wines of 2020, and it was in our top 4, I believe. So, I mean, obviously I really like the wine. The sparkle is a bit of a dead giveaway, but I don't mind because I really, really like it.
Okay, I'm going to play my thing. Wine number 4.
Where the sun shines bright, we'll never meet again.
All right, in 3, 2.
What kept you?
So, that, I mean, let's be fair. The fact that this is sparkling does kind of give the game away, but let's still talk about the 4th wine that we are tasting tonight in some order. I personally think it's number 3, but we will get to that when we get to that. Wine number 4 in our tasting order, or at least in my talking order, is the Broc Cellars Love Rosé. Now, this is made by winemaker Chris Brockway in his urban winery in Berkeley, California. I was there 2 summers ago, and I got to actually hang out there, and they treated me really, really well. The Love series is his entry-level series. He makes a red, a white, a rosé, and a sparkling. I don't know that we actually can get the sparkling at the minute, but we always carry the red, white, and the rosé. The Broc Cellars Love Red was actually our wine of the year 2019. So we obviously love Broc Cellars. Devin has a Broc Cellars shirt. I have a Broc Cellars hoodie. Eric Mercier has been on the show talking about like Broc Cellars in the past. It's obviously a winery we really like. They make great stuff, but Love is their most accessible entry-level wines. That said, like their top of the top range sells for $45. It's not like they're making $300 stuff. They're not Sassicaia. But, you know, the only thing they make under 20 usually is the Love series. So the Love Rosé this year, the 2020, which is actually my favorite vintage of the Love Rosé, is 85% Valdiguet, 14 Zin, and 1%. Jump back to the first one I talked about, Trousseau, which is the other red grape from the Jura region after Poulsard. And honestly, really and truly the better of the 2 red grape varieties. I think Poulsard is genuinely better suited to rosé. I've had some cool reds from it. We sold some reds based in Poulsard from Jura. I'd rather have it as rosé. It's just like Groyo. I just like it better as a rosé. So again, 100% stainless steel fermentation, done very naturally, really, really big, pretty, fresh, fruity wine. I mean, I'm guessing here you probably all had it with wine number 3. You know, I don't have the wines on the table, so I can't see the color, but, you know, I do run a wine store. I'm guessing that's not the Love Rosé. That is the Love Rosé, because I don't remember it being that pale. Now, I'm not looking at them because that would be cheating, but I'm also, you know, not stupid, and I do have a feeling that's what that is. Wine in our glass, though. Strawberry jam. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's so effortless and it's so likable. It wants to be your friend. Even more than these wines, it reminds me of that Revel Cider Soif, which is the Zweigelt strawberry cherry cider from Revel. That's just, again, super likable, super berry, very fun. I mean, Prosa's not supposed to be like a crazy, intense wine-making excursion that takes you to the very earth and dirt and terroir of the place. It's meant to be something you just like drink on a Friday night out in the sunshine on a beautiful evening, like tonight. Which is why I'm glad we're drinking it, so that's fun. So that leaves me with two very important questions. First off, how do I rank these? 1 to 4. 2, what do I actually think they are? So, I'm actually going to quickly retaste these just to actually come to a tasting order, because I spent all of my time and effort thinking what are these and not how am I ranking them. That's my fault. Okay, I really like 3. Okay, my own personal ranking of how I like these, only knowing what number 4 is. I'm not ranking these based on technical points or how much acidity or grams per liter of sugar or whatever else they have. No magical phenolic ripeness score. It's just how much I like them. You know, pure heart decision, not brain decision. I like number 4, then 1, then 3, then 2. So 4, 1, 3, 2. What do I think they are? By color, I think these two kind of give themselves away. That's clearly the Meinklang Prosa, which by default means that probably has to have the Love Rosé. I saw enough Love Rosé to know about what color it is, even if the bottles are out of my eye line. I do think that's what that is. 2 and 1. I mean, I know I really like Leitz Eins, Zwei, Drei, and I really like this. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong, but 1 is Leitz Eins, Zwei, Drei, 2 is the Rolet Poulsard, 3 is the Love Rosé, 4 is the Meinklang.
Hey,
did I actually get it?
To chug the rest of the bottle. You got it.
I actually got it.
You nailed it.
Hey.
Yeah, you nailed it, man. Good work.
A winner is me.
So
I'll take that.
So Meinklang's are crushable.
Meinklang is my most crushable rosé of this summer.
Final bit here.
Only one.
Actually, I'll ask you.
Go on in right now.
So I should ask the question again?
Yeah.
So, due to my lack of planning, my dad is not mic'd up, but I do want to ask his opinion. What was your favorite 4 wines? You liked number 1? The Leitz was your 1, then 4, then the Poulsard, and you didn't like the Love Rosé. That's cool. I like it. But all right, that's fair. Why didn't you like it? Curious.
It doesn't taste like a rosé.
Yeah, that was something I kind of pointed out when I was talking about. Like, it blindfolded, I'd probably pick that as like a Gamay or like a Groyo or something very light.
Kind of Beaujolais-ish.
Yeah, it is Beaujolais-ish.
As a rosé.
No, that's totally fair. But again, it really straddles that line of what's a rosé, what's a red. If you make
if I want a rosé, I want something light and fresh and clean.
That's fair. Yeah.
Right?
No, I totally get that.
So that's why number 1 is my favorite.
And yeah, I love the Meinklang Prosa. It's really fun. It's so bubbly and it's so fresh and it's pretty and you get all the fresh fruit characteristics. But it's a patio crusher. Like it's on its own. It's in lieu of a beer or 3 because it's a wine at 10.5% alcohol. Yeah. You're definitely like, if you're drinking that, you are not driving anywhere. But it's a patio crusher. I think the Leitz is you know, perhaps the most technically correct rosé on the table. Like, it's got that bright, fresh acidity. It's exactly what you'd expect. It could carry most dishes. If I was going to be doing a wine and food dinner, and someone was like, I want a rosé because I'm pairing, you know, a turkey canapé with something, I would do the Leitz just because it's so very correct.
And I've never tasted a Leitz wine I didn't like.
There's that too. I mean, Leitz is just, Metro Vino's so nice to us that they let us have Leitz.
Brilliant winemakers.
They really are, yeah. Like, we even carry their, like, again, never going to be seen on one of our channels because a bottle of that costs what our tastings cost. But we do have even, like, their Grosse Gewach wines now, and they're just incredible. Aaron, I guess you were so busy with all of the madness, you didn't even get to taste the wines, so I can't even ask your ranking.
I had one. Max poured me one.
Thank you, that was very nice.
Yeah, it was.
Aaron, do we have questions or comments that I should hear about?
The only one that I think you should know about, well, no, there isn't really. It's just like people cheering you on. But Jeremy did say he kind of wishes Kyle's dad, hi Kyle's dad, would blindfold Kyle and just throw in an Australian Shiraz. I thought was good.
You know, I think that's actually a fun idea. So one of the things that, okay, so let's be very honest. When we shot the promo for this rosé tasting in our pirate costume, you know, Aaron and I were like doing this thing, kind of having some laughs and everything else, but it was after a rum tasting. We were just like, okay, it took so long for me to get into the damn pirate suit. We just need to like get this tasting done and then the promo shot, and then we just go home. Because it also took me half an hour to get out of that damn thing. Because that fest had like 50 buttons. But on Wednesday night, after we finished the beer tasting, we were talking about the rosé tasting and saying, okay, well, it's a rosé tasting. You did one last year. How do we make it different? How do we make it interesting? And that's kind of how we came up with this idea of a Highlander tasting. And it was literally just Aaron and I talking back and forth over beers and like, this is a stupid idea. How does this track? And we came up with it like 48 hours ago, and we thought it was funny. We thought it was fun. We thought it could be something different. And I absolutely loved it. So the idea of let's do a tasting, but let's throw an Australian Shiraz in. I like this format where I don't know what the wines are, but you do. If you enjoyed this format as well, do throw it in the comments. Just let us know, because I thought tonight was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I got them all right.
And if you say nothing, we'll just keep trying stupid ideas.
Exactly. If you say nothing, we'll just keep trying stupid ideas like pirate outfits and Highlander tastings and, oh God, all the madness that we have done. The terrible crimes against wine that we have wrought.
Anyway, you know?
Yeah. If there was ever a wine Geneva Convention, I am #1 on the list for war crimes.
You could probably jump into the comments if you wanted.
Yeah, I guess I can actually look at the comments now, can't I? Yeah, let's do that really fast here. I'm gonna have to relaunch Facebook because it's not gonna want to launch that many comments all at once.
I'll just play the fourth wine.
Oh, and Dan, thank you very much. I thought the format was really fun tonight. And okay, Chris clearly wins the comments tonight because Pepe du Mobster is also my favorite pizza from Two Guys. Like that's just a killer. You see Colt 45 in my future. If I can't pick Colt 45 out of like a Pilsner tasting, I don't deserve to be doing this anymore. No, I don't have all the comments. I only have like the last comment, or the earliest comment, pardon me, that I have is Chris Cutforth saying back deck. Really? Chris just says back deck? That's it?
Oh, how did you see I see Colt 45 in your future then?
You're
not getting the rewind all the way back.
No, I'm getting, like, no, I don't get anything.
Okay, well, you're just going to have to riff then.
I'm just going to have to riff.
Yeah.
Can you read off anything else that comes in that's like really topical? Apparently, I'm as usual, the comment section on Facebook, thank you, Facebook, is rather broken. So
there weren't a lot. I mean, people were just talking about what they were eating. It's all good. They were just riding it out.
I do apologize that I can't get to all your comments. Facebook occasionally does completely shaft us. It happens. So I do apologize that I can't get to all your questions and comments. It's just sometimes the way it is. But it's necessary for the format so that I can genuinely be surprised. I mean, apart from the fact that I broadly knew what color the wines were going to be, I didn't know in any way what the wines were going to be. We took the wines off the table, which again, thank you, Dad. That was his idea. That I would have way too much easy ability to like line up colors with the wines. I couldn't know what they were. I couldn't look at the comments. I had to be completely blind, and I really enjoyed it. So this was fun. I'm glad you all enjoyed it as well. It sounds like it was a positive experience for everyone from the comments I could get. And yeah, we are completely sold out of the Rolet. Which, if it was your favorite wine tonight, I do apologize, because we did completely sell it. Also, thank you very, very much, so much for everyone for like buying us out of our tasting. But yeah, that was fun. Aaron, thank you.
Totally.
Dad, thank you. Let's.
Annex is gonna rule.
Annex is gonna rule. Annex is gonna be so much fun.
Totally.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday nights.